I didn't really know why that happened and everything. I just felt like I had kind of been asleep for a long time, and then I woke up almost 2.5 years later.
She was having some headaches. It just seemed very typical. The headaches weren't that extreme. January 2011, she had an AVM that ruptured.
It was in her cerebellum, and she was at swim practice. Andee, soon after she had been in the pool, suffered a severe headache. They all got in the car and drove home. By the time they got home, Andee was pretty unresponsive.
Called the pediatrician, who said, let's err on the side of caution, sounds more like migraine to me, and suggested we go on into Scottish Rite. And the emergency room doctor went through a few tests, but ultimately identified the bleed on a CT scan.
When we were at the hospital, Dr. Reisner put a drain in her head, an external drain to relieve the pressure. It drained and basically saved her life. She was in there for a good 6-7 hours of surgery. They had her in a drug-induced coma, and we went in there and finally saw her with all the tubes down her throat and in her head and everything like that, and that was pretty daunting.
Her waking up out of the coma was just more like we saw her flutter her eyes, and we were excited about that.
She was, stable and fine, but there was no movement, very little movement. There are gonna be good days and there are gonna be bad days.
You doing okay?
Yeah.
A couple of weeks later, they've got her actually walking with, contraptions and people.
I would go for 3 hours for speech, OT, and PT. It was more, you got to do with therapy with that one.
She worked very hard on it. She never gave up.
We wanted to make sure, again, we had the best doctor, her in the best place for recovery, and say we would go anywhere. We were both leaning towards children. She just needed a lot of pediatric care, and all of a sudden she was surrounded in a world of doctors and nurses and equipment focused more for children.
We're at Scottish Rite. She was loved by the staff, the other patients. The nurses they loved her, and we still go up there to the CIRU and to the emergency room.
I don't think anybody's given us a prognosis. It's one day at a time.
My parents, they understand it and stuff. They've been very supportive.
She's been incredible.
She hasn't done the why me. Instead, I think I've learned that she's incredibly resilient.
There is help available for teenagers who've suffered a debilitating brain injury, and it's coming from an inspirational young lady.
She wants to be an inspiration to other people.
Kind of my closer friends, they understand it more. They've been very supportive and nice to me. They've all wanted to help, so they formed the Andee's Army.
I'm more proud of how she's not bitter and how she wants to help others.
It has evolved from supporting the Poulos family to helping other teens facing the same struggles.
She's just got still a lot of challenges right now that she does not let hold her back.
A year later, and she is well into school and college bound. It's incredible.